There are lots of reasons Jesus spoke in parables.
But the reason that Jesus gave is one that we usually don't talk about.
That and more in today's episode of Jackson Cloud.
Today we play CatchPhrase, or as my buddy Stefan calls it at 2 o'clock in the morning, CF. Phrases with a P, bro. It's with a P.
He's calling you out.
We had way too much Mountain Dew. No one was thinking straight. We're going to play CatchPhrase. Apparently this is a Decades edition. I think I got it on clearance somewhere. So I'll choose the category first. 80s, 90s, 10s.
Now, was that 2010?
We have 70s, 80s, 90s,
10s.
2000s.
and the 2010s.
Well, the zeros and yellow.
Or the 10s, but how old is that anyway?
Apparently within the 10s range. Okay, so you can skip up to 5, we said, because we're all stupid. All right, here we go. I'm going to go to the thousands now. Webpage where you sell stuff to people.
Craigslist. All right. Main actor of 300.
Gerard Butler?
Yep.
I haven't even seen that movie yet.
A place Casey used to work sells movies.
Blockbuster.
Who wants to be a...
Millionaire.
And first name is...
Regis Philbin.
No, just a... He's an average.
Joe.
2 words together.
Joe Millionaire?
Actress. I think was on Titanic.
Kate Winslet?
There it is.
Harry Potter and the...
Sorcerer's Stone.
Prisoner of Azkaban.
No.
Olivia.
Order of the Phoenix.
Chamber of Secrets.
Chamber of Secrets. Olivia is out of round 1. And it's back in my hand. I'm staying with the thousands. Harold and Kumar go to...
White Castle.
You have no reason to answer these questions in order for me to...
Yeah, but that game's
you
not
can
fun
still
that
answer.
way.
You can still
Not Canada, but...
America?
And then
South
Crazy.
America. Crazy America.
Right.
Crazy
Crazy
Americans.
likes to stab people.
Psycho American.
Right.
American Psycho.
There it is.
Really bad brown candy.
Licorice? No, that's red.
You
Snickers.
sell it.
Chocolate?
But what kind?
Dark
Fair trade.
chocolate.
Oh.
Fair trade. No, fair trade is good candy and you should all eat it.
All right. Race car driver.
Jeff.
His dad died in a car crash.
I win!
The only race car driver name I know is Jeff.
Dale Earnhardt
I don't even
Jr.
know the name that comes after it for his last name.
Jeff
Gordon.
Foxworthy is out
Gordon.
here. Okay, Casey will now start the round. I have 1 point for winning the first game.
Aha, but I'm back in.
She is. And we'll
All
let
right.
anyone who loses answer so the game
All
stays
right.
fair.
So let's go to the 2010s to make this easier. Maybe.
Let's see.
Like it harder, I honestly don't know.
So when you stay awake, you are typically
Tired?
Dead.
when you stay awake until the morning. That
All-nighter?
makes you right, but there's another term for that. Not
Pull
down,
an
but
Up?
and not.
Up all night?
There it is.
Oh, okay.
Is that a movie or something?
I think it's
Milo and...
Otis. He makes really good music. I don't know if you guys listen to it. He's a Christian artist, but kind of known
Toby
better
Mac?
in a secular sphere.
the guy from...
He raps sometimes.
Monster?
White guy raps while playing acoustic guitar. Not Ed Sheeran. Yeah, skip it. Go into this booth and pull...
Jamin's out!
It was Matt Carney. All right, I'm out.
This is stuff that you eat that has less sugar in it. Also,
Diet?
but it's when it's
Aspartame.
when it's typically people that don't like bread or can't eat bread. They usually eat.
Gluten free.
Gluten-free
Gluten-free
sugar
diet?
cookies.
Not diet, but like stuff that you eat.
Food.
There it is.
Okay, I don't know how to explain that. Okay,
Tips.
the guy who's short and is in Game of Thrones and everyone loves. Come on, I know you know his name.
I do,
Peter
but I can't remember it right
Dinklage.
now.
Yes!
There it is. Not a cell phone, but when you used to be able to call people on a.
Landline?
Olivia has
I
1
win!
point. Wait, hang on. We gotta say it. Olivia has 1 point and wins.
Why'd you say it like that?
Because that's the way the thing says it.
You haven't played enough
Oh.
catchphrase.
You have not played enough catchphrase.
Yeah. All right.
I really like catchphrase, but I'm really bad at it, so people usually don't let me play. Because they know their team will lose.
Well, fortunately, you ain't got no team. Here we go.
Doing 2010s again?
People who go to shops and sell things they have.
Flea market?
No,
Farmer's market?
no, we have one downtown next to Jackson Coffee Company.
Game shop?
Oh,
Playing chess. You are a
Game shop?
no.
comic book store?
No. You're red movie streaming service.
Netflix.
Pawn shop, guys. Pawn shop.
There's not a pawn shop.
All right,
Schools.
Watson and.
Emma?
No.
Sherlock.
Sherlock.
There it is. Well, the full name.
Sherlock and Watson.
No.
Sherlock Holmes.
There it is.
Tom?
Sawyer.
No.
Hanks.
Dang it. Okay, the answer was Nook Color. I'm just gonna try to
Tom
get you
Nook?
to say Nook.
You're gonna start on Animal Crossing just with a Tom and think that we were gonna go there first? You're right. We would have done.
I would not have gone there. Nope.
Okay.
Olivia's out. I am going back to the thousands. My
Do something
people.
like 80s since
Let's
I'm
do
out.
80s since there's two of us.
I wasn't alive during the 80s.
90s then.
All right, here we go. RPG, there's like a million of them.
Final Fantasy.
Correct.
All right, Livin' La Vida Loca.
And Ricky Martin.
Is it bad that I wanted to say Coldplay?
The leader elf from Lord of the Rings and the Matrix.
Oh gosh,
I don't know
I
his
don't know
name.
his actual name.
Hello, Mr.
I know who you're talking about. I do
Right.
not know his name.
Select nice males.
Choose good men.
A Few Good Men.
Yeah.
Oh, that was actually
Anchor.
good.
Blank Parker,
Peter?
Peter Parker.
and then Joy Blank that we know.
Peter Jennings.
There it is.
No, I don't want it. Where Casey used to work.
Blockbuster again?
Night. Blockbuster night. Okay. 1-1-1.
Yeah.
Next person wins the game. Wins the game.
Okay, little shot of caffeine.
Coffee.
No. It
Wow.
usually is in like grape flavored or
Fago.
no. It's a
Energy
time.
drink?
It's a type of
Energy drink.
Ginseng.
no. A number
Tea?
of time.
Taurine. Monster.
7.
No, small. It's a shot.
5 Hour Energy.
Yes.
Oh. People who have too much stuff in their house.
Hoarders. Wibbly wobbly timey wimey.
Doctor Who.
I knew you couldn't resist.
Go.
Okay, not a push up, but
Pull up,
no. You sit on the ground on your. Dang it!
chin up.
For the record, I knew it, and I was debating whether or not I should say it in order to make you.
I know.
lose.
I knew
But
you'd do
I
it.
figured you could only go so far before Jamin would say it, and I would have no time, so
I
I
know.
gave in. And I shouldn't have because I don't think Jamin understood.
No, he would have known.
All we know in the alternate winner round so far is Olivia is the ultimate loser. But first in heaven, so that's good. All right, here we go. Thousands.
And for that, I'm only going to answer Casey's.
Ooh.
You're first in heaven. Ha ha, meow.
Ha ha ha, meow?
Uh-huh.
Meow mix?
No. Abbreviation for laughing online.
Hello Kitty? LOL?
Yes. Plus
LOL cat?
Yeah. Don't you answer.
Hi. Blah 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 PC.
I'm a Mac.
There it is.
He's in lots of movies. Arrested Development, main guy. Some Netflix show he's in.
I don't know actors' names.
Roar versus. No, I said versus. A purple fruit. It's got lots of weird seeds
Plum?
in it. No.
Great.
No.
Dragon fruit?
Pomegranate.
Pomegranate.
I win! All because you didn't know who Jason Bateman was.
That's true. I don't remember actors' names.
Today on the Jackson Cloud, we talk about parables.
Making your own sound effects today?
I do. Yeah, that was Who Wants to Be a Millionaire
Oh, okay.
in Jamin's beatbox version.
He used to be a DJ, if that explains anything.
Two different kinds, radio DJ and turntable DJ. Yeah. Anyways, parables is what we're talking about. And
Wait, is you being a DJ a parable, or is that just...
we could make a parable out of it if we wanted to, but we probably won't. But I am curious. I tried not to talk to you about this, but I preached on parables before, so maybe you already know like the direction I would go. But why? Why did Jesus talk in parables? Egil.
For a secret code, that way people could understand but not, but also.
That way, the rest of us, 2,000 years later, can argue about what he meant.
Secret code. Look it up.
What else? What else? Anything? Or those are your main reasons?
I mean,
that was half a joke.
yeah, that was also partially a joke. But
Just half.
I mean, I think we could probably put many reasons out there. So we've got secret code. We've got so people can argue. Any other ideas?
I mean, also to make it easier to understand or take home, because a lot of times, you know, if, for example, if you're preaching and you actually state the point just one time, most people will forget that by the time they get home. Sorry to say.
Insta quote it
Nope.
with a picture of me in the background. It says,
Even if you meme it, it still might not work. But if you do tell a story with it, have a relatable character, a lot of times they'll be able to remember it easier than just quoting it.
I think when you tell a story using people that you know, you go in with preconceptions and are prone to think, oh, this is the good guy, this is the bad guy. Whereas if you tell a hypothetical about made-up people, then people are more likely to think the guy you tell them is the good guy, and the person that they thought was the good guy but ends up being the bad guy is the bad guy.
did you follow that?
I did.
Yeah. I got it. Okay.
Here, let me explain.
No. There's no need to restate it. I followed enough. There's just a lot of bad guy, good guy at the end there. So yeah, it helps kind of like pull people out of the mix and then tell it in a way where you'll hear it. Is that kind of what you're saying?
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, and also, it's so that, you know, like in the 90s, when bad meant good, like, dude, that is so bad, but it was actually good.
I think you're thinking the word rad.
Well, no,
starts
rad
with an
was...
R, not a B.
No,
No,
we used
rad
to
was
call
in the
things
70s, but bad in the 90s.
That's bad. That's sick.
Okay,
Yeah,
I have heard people call things sick. I call things sick.
Right, so...
Normally
in
there's
the-
another
We
word
were
that
all
comes
stupid
after
back then.
bad.
Listen,
That
90s things
means
happen.
cool.
Anyway, but, like, for your point of, you know, the bad guy is the bad guy, it's not like the bad guy is the good guy in the 90s where bad is good.
You say all that just to do a joke. All right.
I mean, I'm trying to confuse you slightly, but
I'm already confused. Anyways,
that means I win.
so I mean, like, yeah, when you hear a story, sometimes you think you're the good guy, and as you listen to the story, you're like, ah, crap, you know, like I was on the other side. So, like, story of the Good Samaritan might be an example. There's a guy beat up on the side of the road. Here comes a priest. Good guy. We're thinking good guy. Priest sees him. Probably doesn't want to ritually make himself unclean. Keeps walking by. Maybe something like that. You're like, oh, why was the good guy the bad guy? And then someone else comes by, like, oh, well, they'll be the good guy. And no, they're the bad guy too. And then the Samaritan comes by, which Jews were very racist against. They're like, oh, no, there's no way the bad guy would be the good guy, and the bad guy's the good guy. Now I've entered into this too. I'm not but, like, that helps you, like, okay, so all of our criteria as to where we thought this was going, the parable kind of flipped it all around and helped us see a deeper truth behind it. Is that
Yes.
fair illustration? Okay.
Yes.
So, and then we also have what Casey was saying is that, like, parables relate better, or stories stick with you. That's why so many pastors will often incorporate so many stories, thinking, hopefully you'll remember this story and the truth will stick with you longer.
Because, I mean, one of the, I guess you could call it parables that I remember from college that struck with me the most was doing a handstand by in a gas station ended up winning somebody over to Christ.
Right. I actually know the story you're talking about.
Yeah. So it was a story of how a guy was like, you know, he felt God calling him to do a handstand by a pop machine in a gas station. And thought it was nuts. And ended up eventually doing it. But the clerk that was there actually prayed for somebody to come and do a handstand by the pop machine to know that God was real.
Wild.
And so ended up, leading the guy to Christ because he decided to do a handstand by a pop machine in a gas station.
It's true. I mean, at least that was the story.
That was the
shared.
story.
So,
yeah.
And he that day in chapel was talking about listening to the Holy Spirit, even when it sounds ridiculous, was basically what the point of it was.
But see, that stuck with me because that was a story that I can still remember, and it's been almost over a decade.
Yeah, that one stuck with me too.
Yeah.
So one of the, actually the first reason, which I think you're probably drawing off an old message I preached, maybe. Or just scripture itself.
Am I?
So Casey says, like, it's a secret code. So to quote Jesus, why do you speak in parables? You may remember one particular parable where he's like, there was some seed, some of it fell on the road, some of it fell on the rocks, some of it fell on the weeds, some of it grew up, and then that's like the story he tells, which we all know what that story means because the disciples then come up and they're like, what the heck was that? You know, we had the Sermon on the Mount stuff last time, and it was profound, like, moral teaching, very straightforward, and now a story that we don't understand. And Jesus says, like, oh, you don't get it? And they're like, no. He's like, oh, well, you know the secret to the kingdom of heaven. You should understand it, but they don't, you know. So, like, it's kind of weird because, like, Jesus at that point then goes on to tell them, like, okay, so there was this seed fell here. It didn't have enough strength to grow up. Here's why. Also, this seed over here, like, it shot right up, but then Satan came along and devoured it. And, like, Jesus expected them to see all of these ingredients in a parable that did not say any of this stuff. Why? Because apparently they have the secret of the kingdom of heaven. The mysterion, I think, is the Greek word. Mystery, more or less.
I mean the special secret sauce?
They had the special secret sauce, the Krabby Patty formula, to finish the... No, we're off track again.
I mean, McDonald's is what I was going for, but, you know...
So the Chaos Emeralds.
No. No. We're not going back to that. See episode... I don't remember what it was.
We'll link to that episode up here.
Dang it, Casey. All right. So what we were talking about was... parables kind of being like secret code. So Jesus explains to them that the reason that he speaks in parables is so some people will hear it and some people won't, which is super offensive to most people today. You know, like American evangelism is like, let's make this as simple as possible. Let's write hundreds of books about here's how you share the gospel on the back of a napkin. Here's how you do this, that, and that, which is all great. Evangelism is great. We need to be doing it. But for Jesus, his evangelism was, I'm going to show up. I'm going to tell a story. And the Holy Spirit is going to reveal some of the answer to some of you, and the rest of you just ain't going to get it.
Or feed them.
Or he'll feed them. But like, he's trying to feed them spiritually too. And part of the reason a lot of these people are showing up is to get something out of it, right? They might know someone who's sick. They want them to be healed. They've heard this guy heals people. They've heard he feeds people. They heard that he does miracles. Who doesn't want to go see a crazy miracle? So some people are not really there for him or for God or for pursuing God or anything like that. They just want to like see the cool guy do the cool things, you know? And so Jesus speaks in a way where it's like, if you want to understand what I'm saying, you need to be here to follow me. You need to be here to follow God. And as you like you have to pursue me to figure it out. It's not just going to come to you as I speak it out. Some of you are going to get it. Some of you aren't. And I think it's Isaiah that he borrows from, but he has a catchphrase. Jesus had a catchphrase. It was, he who has ears, let him hear. And he
That's
uses
not a good
it.
Catchphrase.
Well, you'll have to take that up with
It's not very catchy as a catchphrase.
Jesus himself, I guess, and Isaiah, and God. But like that's a popular thing that Jesus says all the time. He who has ears, let him hear. And the reason that he says it is like, I speak in ways that are intentionally blocked off from you perceiving it. If you want the answer, it's going to take more than just me dumping some knowledge on you. If he wanted everyone to just like, I'm the Son of God, I hope you all get saved in this exact moment without any desire to follow me whatsoever, then, like we talked about in the temptation narrative, he could have just jumped off a building and been caught by angels and floated around. That would have done the trick, you know?
That would have gotten a lot of hits on YouTube.
Yeah, it would have. But instead, he takes a route of, I'm going to speak. Those of you who are actually interested and want to know more and want to know what this story means, you're going to catch on to it. The rest of you aren't. And so that's a different way of evangelism. That's kind of a more hardcore evangelism. It's not that Jesus doesn't want the others to be saved, of course. It's more that he's creating space for the hungry to be fed, if they will come to find that. And one of you said something else about parables that just popped into my head. The fact that, like, so we can argue about what's the interpretation, right? So this is interesting. I've heard parables be given very different interpretations.
Yeah.
And yet they all seem accurate to me, even spiritually.
Even though they say this opposite thing?
Not opposite, but they'll say very different things. And I'll be like, I don't think that's quite what it meant, but like, it almost seems as like you pursued the Holy Spirit and trying to find the answer, that you came to a conclusion that is also accurate about God. And is that how God works? I mean,
So
if anyone's going to craft a parable that could be interpreted several different ways and be correct several different times, God would be the one.
Yeah, that's true. So, like, in the same way, the two people arguing over the 6 and the 9, like, it's the same thing, but they see it from two different ways.
Yeah. Or no, we won't get into that illustration.
Wasn't part of the reason Jesus talked about parables so that he could warn people about the Pharisees without having to mention the Pharisees, though?
I'm not sure, but he certainly didn't have a problem just insulting Pharisees to their face. So
that's fair.
Maybe he didn't.
I feel like there were parables about the Pharisees.
Oh, I'm sure there's parables about the Pharisees as to if he was trying to warn people about them. That could have been part of the illustration to it. You know, people only focus on like 5 different parables in church services. Jesus told a lot of them. And there's like tons that people just don't know because pastors only ever preach the greatest hits. But like, there are some parables that people never hear because they don't read their Bibles and they're not brought up in church. So he gets into all kinds of subjects. He also tells the same story or moral in like 3 different parables back to back in attempts to like tell you the same thing. Actually, a lot of the parables, like the main theme is about the kingdom of heaven and what Jesus is here to do. And he's filling people in so that they can catch it if they're paying attention. In fact, so in the Bible Project podcast, there is a whole series they just did on parables. You may find that very helpful to check out. I also, in my book, The Rush and the Rest, I spend a whole section on parables. I can get you audiobooks for that. Just leave comments and we'll pass those along your way. But other thoughts on parables before we wrap it up?
They're fun.
They're fun. You heard it here first, folks. But yeah, just to clarify, Jesus is not trying to it's not that he doesn't want people to get saved. That's not what we've said today. Rather, Jesus does care that you pursue him. And I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a big difference between salvation of those who have been persuaded to believe something and salvation of those who have pursued Jesus for something. It's like, it seems like there's sometimes a very qualitative difference in Christians between pursuit and persuasion. And we should be both. But if we're finding Jesus in pursuit, the answers to the parables are more likely to be, I think, there for us to learn from. So we say goodbye with a parable. Once there was a man wearing a blue shirt next to a man wearing 2 forms of plaid at one time. One of the men was a good person. The other one was offensive to the eye.
And that's all the time that we have. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below.
Some people would join us on the Discord and perhaps talk to us.